Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. Please honor our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilor Norn.
Here.
Councilor Elliott. Here. Councilor Kennedy.
Here.
Councilor Leahy.
Here.
Councilor Laurie.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
Councilor Mercia.
Here.
Mayor Murphy.
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. We have under the mayor's portion of the agenda proclamation for Shirley Antoine, an AmeriCorps volunteer, naming April 9th as the National Service Recognition Day. I have a proclamation here. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of the American character, central to how we meet our challenges, and essential used to meet the needs of the city's residents. And whereas national service participants serve in more than 70,000 locations throughout the country, bolstering the civic, neighborhood, and faith-based organizations that are so vital to our economic well-being. And whereas national service represents a unique private-public partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars while increasing the impact of the organizations with whom they serve. Now therefore I, Patrick O. Murphy, Mayor of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, do hereby declare April 9th National Service Recognition Day in the City of Lowell and recognize residents to thank a volunteer today, given this 9th day of April 2013.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. Good evening. My name is Shirley Antoine, and it is my unique pleasure to be able to share with you my experience serving in AmeriCorps. As an original teen member, when the United Teen Equality Center opened in 1999, I became involved in many activities throughout our community, such as performing at an annual Asian Water Festival and a World AIDS Day event. Though I eventually went off to college, I made sure to keep in touch with UTEC. As a result, I learned about AmeriCorps serving at UTEC and immediately was interested. This is my second year of service, and the impact these years have had on me are indescribable. The bonds I've formed with all of our young people, the familial atmosphere of the organization, and the cohesiveness of the staff I serve alongside have made my couple years of service a blessing. It is an amazing feeling to have come full circle as a youth then to now being a contributing member to the success of our youth as an AmeriCorps volunteer. At this time, I would like to recognize the various current and alumni AmeriCorps and VISTA members serving throughout our community, such as the Coalition for a Better Acre and Youth Build. Also, the 13 other AmeriCorps and 2 VISTA members who currently serve at UTEC, go above and beyond every day during their service. As part of their commitment to national service, each pledges to make our people safer, smarter, and healthier through their full-time volunteerism, including 1,700 hours of service at a very modest stipend. I am confident when I talk to people about their experience in serving, the genuine gratification comes from helping our community one person at a time. Every day at UTEC is a memorable one, and this is mostly accredited to our youth. Many came into our program feeling dejected and lacking confidence. As soon as they started to see and feel that there were so many people rooting for their success, they each began to flourish. One of our youth in particular struggled with obtaining his GED for 2.5 years and ultimately wanted to give up. Yet, with the patient and persistent one-on-one tutoring by a few AmeriCorps volunteers, he proudly passed his GED a couple of weeks ago. Many of our other youth have since graduated our program, obtained their driver's permits, and have achieved their goal of getting a job as a result of the support of staff and AmeriCorps alike. Other less tangible but equally as important achievements include our youth gaining self-confidence, leadership skills, and pride in their abilities and in the organization a lot referred to as home. Overall, the United Teen Equality Center has lived up to its name by accepting and welcoming all people through its doors. Once AmeriCorps was implemented 5 years ago, it only enriched the overall experience. Thank you for your attention and your willingness to support AmeriCorps at UTEC. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a proclamation which I'll present to Robert Daly of the Lowell chapter of the Barbershop Harmony Society, naming the week of April 7th through April 13th, Barbershop Harmony Week. Whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society, a small group that has steadily blossomed into the world's largest all-male singing organization, was officially organized April 11th, 1938 in Tulsa, Oklahoma, celebrating 75 harmonious years this week. And whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society is dedicated to the spread of harmony for the enjoyment of all people of the world, through organizing and encouraging close harmony singing groups, including Lowell's own 27-year-old Gentlemen Songsters, the members of whom are engaged in laudable civic service and the enrichment of cultural life through the fostering of traditional values in entertainment and community endeavors. And whereas the Barbershop Harmony Society encourages harmony amongst all people of the world through the universal language of music, actively preserving and presenting a distinct style of vocal music that originated in North America, as well as promoting musical education through scholarships and other means, and supporting charitable organizations. Now, therefore, I, Patrick O'Murphy, Mayor of the City of Lowell, do hereby declare that April 7th through 13th, Barbershop Harmony Week in the City of Lowell, and urge all residents to enjoy the music. Given this 9th day of April, 2013.
Thank you very much, Mayor. I would like to actually turn the mic over to the president of the Lowell chapter of the Barbershop Harmony Society, Mr. Jeff Burton.
Thank you, Bob. Mr. Mayor and illustrious members of the City Council, the gallery. Although our society is 75 years old, clearly barbershop singing has been around for way longer than that. It was just officially recognized and started by a group of businessmen in Tulsa some 75 years ago because they were afraid that it was going to go out of style. And here we are 75 years later with the largest men's choral organization in the world. So we're thrilled to be a part of that. The songsters have been in Lowell since 1986, originally part of the Merrimack chapter, which actually was in Lawrence prior to that, and then came to Lowell to form our own. And just thrilled to be here. Thrilled to participate in the folk festival each year. Thrilled to participate in some of the area festivals, regardless of towns in the nearby area. And just pleased to also work within the school system when possible, and some of the work that we've done, for example, with the university. So we're thrilled to do it, and anytime anyone needs anything, yeah, we're there for a song. And that's truly the case. And now I would like to present you with just a little bit of a song, if we may be so bold. Oh, yeah. And actually, it's a theme song of the Barbershop Society, so we thought we'd try it out for you.
What is a heart without harmony? What is a soul without song? A bird with no with no strings, a world without right or wrong. Teach the children to sing, our gift is a lifetime of song. Joy transcending sends every ear bending to hear voices blending so strong. Teach the children to sing, let all their voices belong. Radiant faces, a rainbow of races, join in harmonious song. Join in song. Keep the whole world singing all day long. Watch goodwill come a-winging on a song. Smile the while you are singing. Oh, carry your part. Keep a melody ringing in your heart.
Thank you. Hopefully that satisfies the entertainment quotient for the night. Next, we have a citation, recognition of the Wayne Middle School Knowledge Bowl team. Be it hereby known to all that the city of Lowell, Massachusetts hereby congratulates and honors the Wayne Middle School Knowledge Bowl team upon achieving first place in the highly competitive annual Stocklosa Knowledge Bowl. Team members include Brian Horman, Alexandra Mai, Selena Mai, Curtis Mai, Charity Medeno, Ahmad Rahman, Jeremy Rojas, Eric Roy, Teresa Tadfor, Daniel Zuluaga, represented their school and their city admirably. This group of young people demonstrate that rewards result from hard work and dedication to excellence. They serve as excellent role models for their own peers, as well as younger students throughout the city, and the entire city of Lowell commends the Wayne Middle School Knowledge Bowl team for their hard work and wishes them all the best for continued success, given this 9th day of April 2013. Congratulations to that team. Next, we have, under the city clerk's portion of the agenda, minutes of the city council meeting of April 2nd for acceptance.
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Kennedy, seconded by Councilor Lowry. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have, under the city manager's portion of the agenda, communication from city manager, responses to city council motions and requests. Any discussion? Entertain a motion to approve? Yep. So moved by Councilor Lowry, seconded by Councilor Martin. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Next, we have a communication from the city manager, request approval of out-of-state travel for one for the library. Any discussion? So moved by Councilor Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Lowry. Roll call, please.
Counselor Dewan.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Lowry.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. Next, we have a communication, report and recommendation from the planning board regarding the proposed amendment extending the TMU zoning district to include the parcel located at 12 through 14 Weed Street. Entertain a motion to accept and place on file. So moved by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a communication to reappoint Mr. Richard Lockhart to the Historic Board as a planning board member.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Councilor Lowry, seconded by Councilor Noon. Roll call, please.
Counselor Noon.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. Next, we have a communication to appoint Metre Kyo, J.D., to the Immigration Commission.
Move approval.
Move for approval by Counsel Kennedy, seconded by Counsel Noon. Roll call, please.
Counselor Noon.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Mr. Kyo is here.
Good evening, member of the council, Mayor Murphy. First, I'd like to thank this opportunity from Bonnie Lynch for giving me the opportunity to serve on the Immigrant Commission.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. Any further discussion? Thank you. Next, we have a vote to apply, accept, expend a grant of $20,000 from the Massachusetts Commission.
That should be the Historical Commission, Mr. Mayor.
Not just the Massachusetts Commission?
Just not the Massachusetts Commission,
Okay.
no.
Thank you. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilman Mendonça, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. We have a vote in City Council authorizing the city manager acting through the Historic Board to apply for, accept, and expend a grant in the total amount of $20,000 for the Massachusetts Historical Commission's fiscal year 2014 survey and planning grant program for staff support for the Historic Board. What's the wish of the council?
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Council Martin, seconded by Council Laurie. Roll call, please.
Counselor Noon.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have a communication to appoint John D. Corrigan to the Hunger Homeless Commission.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by Council Laurie, seconded by Council Noon.
Accept and place on file. Doesn't need a roll call.
Excuse me. Motion to accept and place on file by Council Laurie, seconded by Council Noon. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a communication to accept the resignation of David Robinson from the Hunger and Homeless Commission. So moved by Council Laurie, seconded by Council Noon.
Can we send him a letter of thanks?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Next, we have an order for a 60-day trial. Motion to waive the full reading by Council Leahy, seconded by Council Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Reading by title in City Council order pursuant to Chapter 266 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 266-6 thereof entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. What's the wish of the council?
move approval,
Move for approval by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. Roll call, please.
Counselor Noon.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
That's 9 yeas.
Next, we have a communication, appoint John C. Reed to the Taxi Cab and Livery Commission.
Move approval.
Move for approval by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Elliott. Roll call, please.
Counselor Noon.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next, we have a communication to accept the, excuse me.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Reed is here. If, Mr. Reed, if you could.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for voting for me. I'm looking forward to giving back to the city that's given so much to me. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Reed. Next, we have a communication, accept the resignation of Stephen Daly from the Library Board of Trustees.
So moved.
So moved by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Laurie. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a communication to appoint Christopher Jenkins to the Library Board of Trustees.
Move approval.
So moved by Council Kennedy, seconded by Council Laurie. Roll call, please.
Counselor Noon.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Mendonça.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
yes,
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you. And we have Mr. Jenkins here as well.
Mr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the manager for putting my name forward. I've actually was involved with the Drake Library for a while I lived there, and now I look forward to being involved this way with the Lowell Library. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have subcommittee reports. Flood Issue Subcommittee of today, April 9th, 2013. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the Flood Subcommittee just met a short time ago. We just concluded our meeting about a half an hour ago. The purpose of the meeting was to get an update on the status of the application that was submitted to FERC by NL Corporation to install a Crestgate system, as well as to get an update, or actually an introduction, to Mr. George Mason. He's the emergency, or deputy emergency operations coordinator. But I'll try to recap the meeting as best as we can. Believe it or not, we've been at this flood issue since the flood back in 2006. So we're on our 7th year. We had members in the audience, councilors were myself, Councilor Mercier, Councilor Laurie on the subcommittee, as well as Councilor Leahy, Councilor Mendonça. The fire chief was there, Mr. Mason, Henry Marchand was there, the city solicitor, as well as neighborhood leaders, Pawtuckaville Citizens Council, Deb Forgione, Kathy Marsden. Who else was here? We had CNAG, Carol McCarthy, Sacred Heart Neighborhood Organization. But the crux of, or I shouldn't say the crux, the issue that was really addressed was from Peter Arcella and the Park Service, and they've been in communication with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission on a regular basis. We have letters that have been submitted up to March 14th opposing the installation of a Crestgate on the dam because of its historical significance. And he went through a very thorough explanation, the reasons for it, and the regulations and laws set up by Congress designating that as a historical significance to the city. There's a national, it's also part of the National Registry. It's part of the Lowell Historic Preservation District. It's part of the National Preservation District. And I think the most important issue that or statement that I took from Mr. Arcella from that meeting was that no federal entity, according to the legislation that set up Lowell Historic Preservation District and Commission enacted by Congress, is that no federal entity can commit a license that will have an adverse impact on the falls. And I think that says it all. National Park sent us, Department of Interior sent a 7-page letter back in February, a follow-up in March. The Secretary of Interior has visited the falls. The Director of the Park Service for the country visited the falls. So it's not just a City of Lowell issue. It's not just a neighborhood issue. It is now a national issue. And I think that's significant. So one of the motions, a motion that was made by Councilor Mercier, seconded by Councilor Laurie, that was voted unanimously, is to notify or ask members of Congress, U.S. Senator Warren, Nikki Saunders, Congresswoman Saunders, to send a letter letting FERC know, first, we still support the Department of Interior. And secondly, the second issue that was raised is that NL, they're not abiding by the current terms of the permit that's in place. And the issue with that is that the pins are being set 6 inches apart off center rather than 20 inches, which is the reason why the flashboards are not failing. So that was the motion made by Councilor Mercier, and I think it's significant because while FERC is currently in deliberations, they should know that the current permit holders are not abiding by, and they're not in compliance with the existing permit. So by way of motion, Mr. Mayor, that is the first motion recommendation that we're bringing forward to the council for adoption.
So motion by Councilor Elliott. Seconded by Councilor Kennedy. Any discussion on the motion? Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There also was some talk about the preparedness to warn people when flooding is to take place. And we had George Rose, a retired firefighter who's in charge of the emergency management department. And he said that he would like to put forth a brochure alerting people of the steps that would be taken. But of course, we know that that would cost money. So through you to the city manager, I would like to say that this is something I feel is necessary for the neighborhoods, for the people that pay all that money in their flood insurance, and if it's necessary, if we could make that happen for them. Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Counselor, I'm sure that it's a cost that we can absorb.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Councilor Elliott?
Councilor Mercia brought up the second item that we discussed, and there was, I believe that was the only other item that we had to discuss, and it was a good meeting. It was well attended, and we're going to stay the course and continue to do what we can to protect the neighbors in that particular section of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Councilman Mendonça, seconded by Councilor Kennedy. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Being 7 o'clock, we'll move to the general public hearings portion of the agenda. We have an ordinance to amend the zoning for 12 Weed Street to extend the TMU zone. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Noon, seconded by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Reading by title. In City Council ordinance, an ordinance amending the code of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts with respect to Chapter 290 thereof entitled Zoning by extending existing traditional mixed-use zoning district to include the entirety of 12 through 14 Weed Street in Lowell, which is presently zoned traditional neighborhood single family. At this moment, I'd enter it for those wishing to speak in favor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, James Flood, 549 Roger Street. I represent West Street LLC, the owner of the property at 12 to 14 Weed Street. Also, Good Times LLC is the owner of the property at 1278 Gorham Street. And also Jim and Karen Booton, who are here tonight, the operators of Good Times Family Restaurant on Gorham Street. We're before you tonight to amend the zoning map to extend the existing TMU zone, which ends at the rear of the property at 1278 Gorham Street, to include the entire parcel at 12 to 14 Weed Street. It's approximately 6,500 square feet. A little bit of the history behind this request. Jim Booton has been operating a restaurant at that site for over 10 years. He originally operated about 50% of the first floor, and in 2010, he purchased the entire building from his landlord and had plans prepared to renovate and extend the first floor of the building. That was filed with the Board of Appeals, and they approved a special permit and a variance for these renovations. Although the area of the restaurant increased by 50%, he only added 29 seats. There are 108 seats in the restaurant right now. So he only added from 79 to 108. And in 2012, the property at 12 to 14 Weed Street came on the market, and in November of last year, he purchased it. The issue in that area has always been parking. And in accordance with the plan that we originally submitted to the Board of Appeals, the site contains 18 parking spaces. Jim also has an agreement with the Valvoline station located on Gorham Street to provide additional parking if necessary. I'm sure that any of you who have been in the restaurant know that Jim and Karen run a real first-class business. They made a major investment in the city in renovating the building and also the outside grounds around it. If this request is approved, we'd be able to provide approximately 9 to 12 new parking spaces, which would reduce the congestion in the neighborhood and the surrounding streets. He has no intention at this time to deliberate the existing home at 12 to 14 Weed Street, and the house will remain as a buffer to the neighbors. I think all of you got a new plan that we had prepared that was in your package, and what we tried to do was to show the zoning on the abutting properties in the neighborhood. And if this is allowed, as you can see, Jim's zone line at 1278 will straighten out down to Weed Street, and it would be a straight line, and avoid all of those different spots in there that are different. And the extension would not be out of character of the neighborhood. As you can see from the property on the other side of Anderson Street, the TMU zone goes further back. There is a pizza restaurant located there. So, and the allowance would also provide Jim some protection in the future in the event that Valvoline site is sold, and his customers would lose the right and the opportunity to park in that property. So, we appeared before the planning board on April 1st. Planning board voted 5-0 to recommend it to you. And I'm asking that this board would go along with the planning board and approve this zone change. But we're here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor?
Short ones. Good evening. My name is Carol McCarthy. I live at 64 Blossom Street. I also co-chair the Sacred Heart Neighborhood Improvement Group. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of this proposal. Like the attorney said, if any of you have ever been to the restaurant, not only is the food delicious, but the atmosphere. It's a family-style restaurant. Where else can you go when you see little ones enjoying a restaurant, as well as our middle-aged and our elderly? I think Mr. Booton has done his best to show the neighbors that he thinks of the neighborhood. I think if you look at his grounds, once he took accusation of the building, he dressed the whole place up. He tore the whole front apart. He made the place really look nice. In the wintertime, you can count within hours of the snow stopping that his sidewalk is completely cleared. Not just a path, but it's completely cleared of snow. Can't say that about many other businesses. I think the city should embrace all the efforts that he's put into this business, and we should reach out to him and do whatever we can to make it easier for him. He thinks of the neighbors. He's always looking for that extra little parking spot to get the cars off the streets so that they're not parking in front of the neighbors' homes. He has shown this by even reaching out to Valvoline and asking if an overflow could park into their place at nighttime. So I think the city should really think about saying yes, and even coming out to his restaurant and check the area out. I walk the area all the time. It's clean. It's clean 24 hours, 7 days a week, every single day of the year. I think you can't ask for a better business. I wish we had more of them in the city of Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Good evening. My name is Anne Marie Page. I reside at 26 Fremont Street in Lowell, and I am the current president of the Lowell Citywide Neighborhood Council. I'm sure you all know how very strict neighborhood leaders are when it comes to zoning issues. I was over at this site today and checked it out again. We recently had to do something very similar to this in Centerville in order for a very good project to go through. In Centerville, it was one parking spot that was holding up a very good project. A project that would mean not only good for the neighborhood, good for the city of Lowell. And we had to do the same zoning change that we are doing here. So you need to look upon this application favorably. The applicant took an empty restaurant, cleaned it up, he made it a successful restaurant, and he employs many people. So successful, he had to expand. And in this economy, that doesn't happen too often. So he expanded to twice the size. So he purchased the building, He improved the interior and the exterior. The landscaping is pristine and it is immaculate. All of this was done by all the codes required by the city of Lowell. He bartered with a neighbor business man and another businessman aside of him in a butter to share the parking lot. This gentleman closes at certain hours, and Good Times has made an agreement with them using the back part of their excess parking, so it worked very well. The property is a jewel in that neighborhood. More neighborhoods should have one. I wouldn't mind having one over in Centerville. He sees a need for even more parking, so not to inconvenience his neighbors, he then purchases the abutting house at a good market price, and it is also neat and clean. He tears down a fence that he owns. He pours gravel and now wants to show that area for more parking for his customers. This way, he is not taking valuable parking places from the homeowners in his neighborhood. So far, what has he done that either did not improve the neighborhood, or where did he take valuable, scarce parking spots away from the immediate neighbors? In closing, this man has increased tax income to the city. He has employed many people. He keeps his business inside and out. It's so clean you could eat off the floor. If there is any business in the city we need to set as an example, it is this man and the way he conducts his business. He needs to be encouraged and thanked by approving his application. I thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Hi, my name is Sandra McNamara. I am Vice President of Citywide Neighborhood Council, and I'm here to speak as a teenage child not long ago that was brought up on Anderson Street. And as a past health inspector that has inspected the property and has never, ever had a problem at all with Good Times. Under that note, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council? Councilor Mercia.
Every speaker said exactly what I would want to say, and they should be thanked, and I want to publicly thank them for having a superb restaurant, expanding, putting people to work. That's the American dream, and that's what it's all about. They're great people. It's a shining star for the city of Lowell. People come to Lowell. There's a lot to like about Lowell, and that's one of the things that we all like. So I'm recommending move approval. Thank you.
Thank you. So moved by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Laurie. Councilor Laurie on the motion?
You know, I've been there, I don't know how many times with my wife. It's, you know, it's really nice. It's as the neighborhood leaders were saying, it's very clean. It's been great for the neighborhood. And I just think it's a great place. And if you're going to have a business in the city, this is the type you really want to have. And I want to thank them for having their business in Lowell.
Thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Norton.
Approve.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kennedy.
Yes.
Counselor Leahy.
Yes.
Counselor Laurie. Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Madonza.
Yes.
Counselor Mercia.
Yes.
Mayor Murphy.
Yes.
9 yeas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck. Next, we have general petitions. We have 4 claims for property damage, and entertain a motion to refer to the law department for a report and recommendation. So moved by Councilor Madonza, seconded by Councilor Noon. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a miscellaneous petition by Mr. John Wren of Lowell, Massachusetts. Request the city address the service area issues with Comcast. Is Mr. Wren here?
No, but I live at Western Avenue. He couldn't come tonight.
Could you please speak into the microphone, and if you would, say your name and address for the record.
My name is Carla Wilbur. I live at 160 Western Avenue, and John Wren couldn't come tonight. And I guess I'm just here to voice the hope on part of a lot of the residents there that we could have a Comcast option. I guess my understanding is by law, we should be able to have that choice. We have Verizon now, and it's kind of disappointing. So I think that's about it.
Okay. Mr. Manager?
I apologize, I'm not really familiar with the situation fully over there. Perhaps you could, we're not talking cable service, we're talking...
Oh, we are.
Yes.
John Wren has been on the telephone with Comcast often and heard many different stories as to why Comcast
You stand in front of the microphone.
can't bring service to the new complex, and none of the stories have been satisfactory in his view.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Councilman Johnson and then Councilman Mercia.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that there are people in Lowell who don't have Comcast service, since the cable service has been low for over 30 years.
Right.
They would have had time, and according to the letter, there's over 50 new residents, or in essence, over 50 potential customers for Comcast. So I think to the extent that the city could support the request, that we should move ahead and try to get Comcast to send a feed down to that building so that they could service these customers. So I would recommend that we forward this to the manager to address with Comcast, so refer to the manager.
Motion to refer to the manager by Councilman Johnson, seconded by Councilman Mercia. Councilman
Yes,
Mercia.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. It seems, and I'm very surprised to hear this as well. I knew many years ago when cable came into the city, people that were confined to a hospital or after an operation, you couldn't get cable service at St. Memorial Hospital. You couldn't get it at Lowell General. Now you can get it. So I kind of took it that everybody could get it. I'm appalled by the fact that you can't. And what the lady is referring to is Section 3.1, which says that if you need cable service, Comcast states that in 45 days they would provide it, and they haven't done that yet. Part of the reason is, according to the letter, is because the cable service goes on Western Avenue, would go over railroad tracks, and they don't have the right-of-way to go over there. I can't believe in this day and age that that's the reason that's holding them up. When you say railroad tracks, synonymous with, used to be Guilford Transportation, but I think it's Pan Am today, and we're worried about their rights when we're completely fining them all the time. They're never being held responsible. They're never paying that which they should, and now they're holding these people hostage because of right-of-way. I say, let's make a deal here. You owe the city so much in fines. Let's give these people the right-of-way to go over your right-of-way. So I think, Mr. Manager, that's a good motion to refer it to you so that we can get some results here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Kennedy and then Councilor Leahy.
Yeah, just quickly, and continuing on with the letter, I think what they did say was the Comcast has given the excuse that they haven't been able to negotiate crossing over the tracks. Right. And I think Mr. Wren, in his letter, made the point that there are 3 other directions that they could come from. And so it just seems like maybe it's just not cost effective for them to go in there, but nevertheless, they have a responsibility to do that. So is that something that we can work out, the city manager can work out, or?
Right, we'll be, obviously I'll be utilizing the law department as well, but we can be in touch with Comcast on this. As I read the letter now, it becomes more clear to me. So effectively, you do not have cable service at all.
Well, we have DSL through Verizon, but it's not very good. Okay. And there are people who are trying to get businesses going, and it's kind of a deal breaker for that. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Leahy and then Councilor Martin.
Thank you. Related to this matter, I know we've had a couple of meetings with the commission board or the cable.
With the cable company.
Okay. It's come to my attention too that some business owners downtown, they'll have a restaurant but not a bar. And they're telling me that they're obligated to pay an exorbitant amount of money as if they were a bar, and they can't just get regular cable for their customers during the day too. So if we could look into that, you know, it's kind of related to this, but I was gonna bring it up at the other meeting too, because, I mean, if you're a restaurant downtown, you're only open certain hours. You shouldn't have to pay as if you were gonna charge customers to come in to watch fights or something like that, if they still even do that. But this business person was telling me that, you know, they just want a regular, whatever, $60 a month fee, and they're telling them, no, you gotta pay triple that. So that should be addressed also. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Martin, then Council Laurie, and then Council Mercia.
Thank you. There are places in the downtown that don't have access to Comcast. I think, you know, this might be a new, more recent situation because there's continues to be residential development in the downtown. But, you know, there are, you know, the office building I work in has no access to Comcast, and we were told, you know, it was because it couldn't dig up a street that had just been repaved for 5 years. The DSL service is pretty unreliable. It does go out from time to time, and it's people, you know, every business is pretty much dependent on good internet service these days. And so, you know, as the downtown expands, we may find more pockets like this. So there is a license renewal hearing tomorrow evening. I had planned to attend that hearing, and I'll raise this as an issue, not just for this project, but for access in the downtown in general, and see really how many dark spots are there, or whatever the proper term is, because we really should be, you know, given the amount of time that cable TV and internet service has been around, we should be near universal service, I would think, at this point. So, but it has been an issue, at least in certain pockets, and I think that's one of the things maybe we can address in the new license process.
Thank you. Just for residents who are interested in that hearing, do you have the details?
6:30 tomorrow night here.
Okay. Thank you. Councilor Laurie, and then.
The other odd thing I heard from some of the lounges and bars, you have to pay more to turn up the TVs. So I was out one night and they had a game on, I just, you know, could you turn it up? Can't do it, you know, because they have music or whatever, you know, so I don't know what the regulations are, but I might stop by tomorrow night myself just to see. Thank you.
Councilor Mercia?
That's, Mr. Mayor, what I was going to reiterate about the cable permitting hearing tomorrow at 6:30. People that live there would like to probably come down and voice their concern. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Councilor Leahy?
Thank you. I just wanted to ask one more question. I know at the hearing, you can't bring up cable rates, but that's heavy on people's minds. So is there an outlet that they can go through? I mean, people are always asking all of us. And, you know, is there some way that we can express their frustration over the rates?
The rates are set, those aren't controlled at the local level, those controlled at the state or federal level. So that would be the avenue to address those issues.
Right. Is there a way that we could kind of put something together to support the residents, like however we do, like a letter to the State House or something like that? Or do we need to put a motion forward to?
Technically, yes, but we can draft something up if you'd like that raises the issue of rates in general for what.
So do I need to put a motion on for next week, or can we do something tonight, or how does that work?
I think it'd be a good idea just to put it on for tomorrow, for next week, and in the meantime, they can draft something up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any further discussion on this petition? All those in favor of referring to the city manager? Opposed? So voted. Next, we have motions. First motion by Councilor Laurie, request the city manager work with the city state and federal agencies, assisting the removal of tents and shelters along the Merrimack and Concord rivers, and finding suitable shelter for the people residing there.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Laurie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's someone here who wants to speak on this issue. Paul Belay.
Paul Belay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, members of the City Council. I want to thank Councilor Laurie. Excuse me, I have a cold. I want to thank Councilor Laurie for bringing this motion up so we can bring this issue forward. We've all heard people say as we drive around the city, look at the blue tops along the highways and the rivers, how can people live like that? That's terrible. Why doesn't somebody do something? But I'd like to briefly just put a face on some of the people who are living along our rivers and along our highways. My friends and I have been doing outreach to the Beaver Brook camps, the ones you see coming over from the Lasher Park over to Centerville on the left for many years, where 15 to 20 people live there depending on the time of year. I believe, according to last count by Kristen and her staff at CTI, there are approximately 60 unsheltered people living in the city. The cross-section of people that live down in Beaver Brook Camp is wide. They are young couples, young men, old men, middle-aged women. Some of them have substance abuse issues, some have mental health issues, some have no other choice, and some just like living outdoors. The ones with substance abuse issues, they're there because they've burnt every bridge because of their addictions. Can they be helped? Yes, they can, but only with outreach. We have a middle-aged woman, who I'll call Mary, that lives off by herself from the main camp. She's afraid of men, only because she was beaten for 10 years by her husband and lives there because she has no place to go. And then there's Tony. Tony goes to work every day, but lives there because his child support payments are so high that he can't afford rent. And there's a young man from California. He lives there also because he has no ID and no documents because his friends dumped him off in Lowell and left him with nothing. Every one of them has a story, and every story will rip your heart out. But the news is not all bad. During our winter outreach to bring them warm coats, hats, and gloves, we came across a young woman, and she was weighing under 100 pounds. She was diagnosed with bone cancer, had not received treatment for 2 years. She also had a burn in her leg from a burning barrel, and the nylon pants had melted into her wound. With the help of Kristen and CTI, we were able to get her out of there, and now she's getting the medical attention she needs and has housing. We have also had other successes, but they're one at a time. The only way to help them is to get down into the camps and do outreach and reach out to them and talk to them and find out what their needs are. And just to wrap up, and to the folks at home, the next time you see blue tops in your travels around the city, remember that under those tops are someone's mother, father, brother, sister, son, and daughter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Belay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think the motion speaks for itself. Much of the land along the rivers, we don't really own. It owns the state, the federal government, and different agencies. So we really have to work with them to get into the camps. But be that as it may, it's a situation, if it continues, and I'd like to add this, I heard there's now a camp behind a Dunkin' Donuts on Middlesex Street, if we could add that. The city only has so much resources, as Mr. Belay was saying, and as people come into these cities, it only drains the resources in the city, and Lowell just can't handle it. We just can't handle it. And what I'd like to do is reach out, help the people that we can. I know when I was a mailman downtown, many of these people, a lot of the homeless lived in the vacant buildings down around Jackson Street. They'd get in. But because of the success in downtown Lowell, these buildings are now vibrant and we're turning them over. So they've lost those shelters. My fear is that a lot of the homes in the neighborhoods that are boarded up for one reason or another will now become a source. And it's sad. Many of these people have health issues and so on and so forth. But I think the best thing for the city to do is reach out with the state and federal government, try to find help for these individuals, try to find housing. They're more susceptible to crime than we are, people going down there into those camps and hurting them. And I think it's something we really need to work on, clean up the areas, get them housing. And once we do, we really have to put a stop to it. Last year, I had 2 little dogs. I was walking up Fort Hill, and I was a mailman over that area too. And some of the elderly stopped me and said there were people getting ready to put tents up on Fort Hill. I called the police, and of course they moved them. A couple of nights earlier, there was a huge bonfire up there that nearly caught the woods on fire. So there are some safety issues for the people in the areas. And my concern, we talked about flooding earlier in the evening. If we do have a flood and the people living down there, they're susceptible. If someone drowns, overdoses, as Paul was saying, there's some issues over there. So it's something we really have to look at, and hopefully we can work with state and federal agencies, find housing for these individuals, and help them out, get them some medical attention, and we can move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Leahy.
Thank you. I just want to quickly say that thank you for the motion. Thank you to people like Mr. Boulay that go down there and help these people. But, you know, we have called the manager, I have called the manager's office in the past, and I know that they've done what they can. This motion just brings it back again and says, you know, let's see what we can do, reaching out to state and federal authorities. So I just wanted to mention that, you know, I know when I've personally called, I've gotten a call back from the manager himself and said that they have sent people down there. So let's see, you know, as the maker of the motion says, let's see if we can reach out even more and try to get some federal and state help. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. I was going to bring up the Middlesex Street, I guess, tent city that just came to my attention today that a meeting I was at. So, Mr. Manager, I can recall a number of years ago, I believe it was Chief LaValle that came in, and he was taking the initiative to, you know, to shut these down. While I completely agree that we need to help these people find shelter or find their way back to get back on their feet, at the same time, you know, we have to make sure that people abide by the rules and regulations that we have and ordinances in the city. So my question to you is, you know, we talked a lot about enforcing tonight at the flood meeting along the same lines. I mean, they're not legal. We want to be compassionate. We want to understand. Even, you know, we know that the shelters are full, but we can't just allow this to continue. So do we have a plan? They've been there for quite some time. Another one is sprouting up along the river. Do we have a plan to, you know, to address this?
Well, we do have as best we can describe, a plan. In many of these cases, it's property that's owned by other parties. It's not city-owned land. So it's in many cases we're dependent upon the property owners to actually participate with us and cooperatively. There have been some issues with National Grid property that we've worked with them in the past. And I should state that when we do that, we don't just go in and just order people off. We try to work with the Transitional Living Center and CTI and other organizations and entities that work on issues of homelessness. And in the case of the one over on the Merrimack River, that's property, it's owned by the university. We've actually been in touch with the university, and we're working cooperatively with them, and hopefully, I believe there's a meeting set up for in the next couple days to go over some strategies to do that, again, to depend upon the resources. The other property behind Middlesex Street, I think that's just come to the attention of many of us in the last few days, so we'll be working on that one as well.
Do we have any, do we have any idea how many people are at both of these locations, or several locations?
I don't. I know that Mr. Belay just indicated that there are 60 citywide.
So how many?
That goes to the entire homeless population. I believe that comes out of the homeless census that's done on an annual basis. Those specific locations, it sounds like from what Mr. Belay said, we're talking about 15 to 20 over on Merrimack Street, by the Merrimack River, and I'm not sure how many are behind Middlesex Street yet, but so you're probably looking somewhere in the vicinity of 25 or 30 in those two facilities, and then the remainder are scattered throughout the city.
Okay, thanks.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Next, we have a motion by Councilman Donser. Request the city manager provide more publicity with greater detail for summer recreation activities for children. Seconded by Councilor Noon. Councilman Donser.
Yes, I was asked to make this motion by a parent of school-aged children, and Council Lori and I were at a neighborhood meeting last evening where the manager made a presentation and highlighted the fact that we had many more summer activities last year, and we're probably going to continue them this year. So they wanted to have more detail about what's available to these children. They start to plan the summer activities. So it could be done maybe through the website or some distribution through the schools, so that they'd have more detail as to which activities, what dates they're going to occur on, if there are any application, what periods do they need to apply, what's the application deadline, things of that nature. And I think it would make more efficient if there were some of this information on the website, so that they don't have to get that many calls at the recreation department to figure out what's going on. I think one of the concerns of the parent was that people in the know that these are going on. Maybe they participated last year and be aware of it. I think they wanted to get a broader spectrum of people and let more parents know that these activities are going to be available. And I suppose we could extend this on, because we have so many more activities. There's more employment activities as well for youth, so that's something else that could be added by the manager. So that was the point of the motion. Thank you.
I believe we offered a report to the council a couple of weeks ago on the expanded recreation programs that we're going to be having this year. That's been an ongoing effort jointly with the school department as well, because it's going to tie in with many of the school offerings. And we're just at a point now that we're, obviously, some of it is budget dependent, and I guess obviously, actually, all of it's budget dependent, but a good portion of it is certainly that. And but we're moving forward to do the publicity early this year. Last year, we got a little caught behind the eight ball because it was more budget dependent last year, I would say, and we were reluctant to do too much too soon, depending upon the council's decision on the budget. This year, we're actually going to go out and work with the schools to get the publicity out, and we'll be doing the website as well as other means of communicating with the public. But that is, it's gearing up now. It should be out within the next, I would say within the next week to 2 weeks.
Thank you. Councilor Noon, then Councilor Lori.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. On my motion number, actually 25, I'm looking for same thing as Councilor Vice Chair Mandanga looking for, that is the information. I understand that a few weeks ago there's an information that there's going to be an increase in summer job program for kids from 175 to 200 something. As Councillor Mendonça indicated, that the concern that some parent that I spoke to laid similar on a similar ground that Councillor Mendonça indicated, that people in the know. So we need to do a broad information outreach, either through website and or the high school, if that's where you anticipate of hiring those students for the summer. So we need to do more, and we need to do sooner, so that they can get the planning their summer accordingly, so that again this can be broad enough so that reach out to everyone as possible. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Lowry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, we just had Tom in a couple of weeks ago, Tom Belgard, talking about the program. And well, actually, there's one of my neighbors has a couple of children in Little League and or Junior League, and they suggested we give out the information this year when we give out to the leagues, when the coaches come in, and I think they're going to do that. And I believe they were working with the school department. We may hire over 200 summer jobs this year. And I think last year it all went through Manpower on John Street, maybe? Am I right?
We do a good portion through the Career Center, as well as through Recreation. We have a jobs fair coming up on May 2nd. We also have a sort of coordinated with this. We also have an outreach regarding jobs with the local businesses. That's been in place now for about 6 years, that a letter goes out to hundreds of private businesses to suggest that they do hire youth. But specifically for the recreation program, again, that is gearing up, and we're in the process now that we know how many positions we have, we'll be looking to fill those positions.
Especially we were working with the school department this year. Could the high schools in the city, and because this is basically, we want to see Lowell children hired to run these programs. The high schools give out information to the students on whether it's verbal or paper, and put it on the websites too. But I think it would be good for all our high schools in the city to send something out to the students, if we could, to let them know. When I was there, it was Chris Mitchell who used to do the jobs programs. That was back in the 70s. And I don't know if they have a placement officer anymore at the high school. But if they could do that, that would really touch and base with all the Lowell kids anyway through the high schools. Thank you.
Correct.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Next, we have motion by Councilor Noon. Request the city manager provide list of all contractors hired by the DPW for snow removal for the past year and include terms of the contract. So, seconded by Councilor Mercier. Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mayor. What I'm looking for is I just want to know the number of contractors, how many of them from the city of Lowell, and how many from our town, and it's in that way, going forward, we look to hire more contractors for snow removal from the city of Lowell rather than from Drake, Billerica, and or other surrounding towns. So that's the gist, that is the aim behind this motion. So thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Next motion by Councilor Noon. Request the city manager report an update regarding amended rules and regulations of the License Commission. Seconded by Councilor Mercier. Councilor Noon.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. I know that the License Commission has been working on these matters and elicit some input and comment from the establishment owners, and we really, it's been a few months now, maybe a little more, that just like to know where we at with regard to the amended regulations. I know that on April 3rd, the home rule petitions on the matter in terms of take up our issue of increasing the commissioner from 3 to 5. So I also like to know maybe along that line, so where we at on that, whether or not they approve, or maybe Madam Solicitor just raise her hand. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Madam Solicitor, and then Councilor Lowry.
Sure, I can tell you that the License Commission has had several meetings, and they have now finished their review of the rules and regulations, and it is being scheduled for a public hearing. And that should be in another 2 weeks, I think.
Thank you.
Just to
Councilor
follow
Lori.
up on Councilor Noon's motion, this is an excellent motion. We've been receiving calls on these. If the council could get a copy of the due regulations before it goes to the public, if that's okay with Councilor Noon, that we get a copy of the regulations before they go to the public meeting.
That's fine, Mayor.
All those in favor?
Thank you.
Signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. I'd entertain a motion to take items 25 through 29 together.
Yes, so moved.
So moved by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Kennedy. Councilor Noon?
Are we in a rush to go somewhere here?
Some of us are, I think. Councilor Kennedy, and would you like to go through them one by one?
No, it's fine, because, I just want to, accommodate my friends, and I know that Councilor Kennedy and Manager Lynch have a date tonight. If I was wrong about that, tell me. So, and leave out the rest of us. So, and here we are trying to accommodate both of them. So enjoy your evening.
On the motion?
Thank you. All those in favor, signify, motion to approve together. So moved by Councilor Mercia, second by Councilor Lori. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Last motion of the night by Councilor Mercia. Request the city manager explore the possibility of having a police substation in the library for completing reports and other administrative functions. Second by Councilor Noon. Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We know that from time to time, there's departments that merge with others, merge by way of sending someone in another office. For example, a while ago, we had learned that the Veterans Office would be at the Senior Center. They merged and did that. That's fine. Then we recently voted for some a person to take, God bless you, to in the Election Commission office. We had a person that was going to oversee that particular department in the election office, and we're having someone from the law department go down there and be a part of that as well. Having realized that, I don't see a problem, but I'm not the professional here. I'm referring it to you, Mr. Manager, where we're always hearing, and again tonight, another letter of all the ongoing saga to the library. I would think that would be something to contemplate if we could have a police officer that does work inside the police department to go over to set up a little office so that there'd be someone on site that's a police officer. That would be, speaking about this motion, the best that I could see.
Mr. Manager?
We'll certainly look at it. We do have the police doing regular walkthroughs. They do it a number of times during the day, but and we have the security guard there. But I'll have Superintendent Friedel take a look at that.
But I know that officers sometimes write reports. Maybe they could use the library as a place to do their reporting and still be there at the same time instead of doing the report in a cruiser. Probably park in front of the library or somewhere in the parking lot and go up and do their reports. That would be a suggestion, that's all. Thank you.
Councilor Elliott?
Thank you. Mr. Manager, what is the, I guess, protocol, or what is the procedure for people calling the police over there? Can people just call the police if they see something? I mean, we have a security guard over there, right? I mean, he's there for a purpose. Can he call the police?
He can call the police, but he's acting there as an agent of the library, and we'd like to, like any facility, business or governmental, we'd like to be able to have some type of control over that by the person in charge of the building. But obviously, if an event happens that someone needs to call someone, they certainly have the ability to do that. Okay. But we do our instructions to the staff are that they should work through the chain of command.
Right.
Again, just as any business does that.
Right. No, I understand, but it would make sense to me that if there's a security guard there and we hire him and pay him, that he should have the police department on the speed dial and not have to say, well, there's a problem, I better go check with so-and-so. He has, the ability and the training to make that call.
Right.
Any further discussion on this motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councilor Laurie, seconded by Councilor Mendoza. I do want to thank, just before we adjourn, I want to thank Vice Chairman Mendoza for filling in for me, both here in the chambers and outside, and doing a great job over the last couple of weeks.
Just quick,
Councilman Mendoza.
good to have you back, and congratulations on the addition to your family.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.